That sounds the chick. Cool, works. Definitely move that off of there. That's annoying.
Is he alive?
Isaac Clarke. I'm going to show you some images, and I want you to tell me about them.
It was just a short bit. But the things in my head. There's so much shit in my head.
Where are you going? It's not over between us. You can't be unfree forever.
Watch me, bitch. Bonk. No, skip this shit. Every fucking time. Do you really have to ask me every fucking time? Like, how does it not at least update to remember, hey, fucking servers are dead. They don't exist. So that DLC thing you're talking to me about doesn't exist anymore. I feel like that's just super weird that it still does that at all. And I haven't heard anything about the Dead Space remake, the remake of the original. That's supposed to be coming up for a bit, and that moderately worries me. I was super excited when it was announced because, well, it's a remake of Dead Space with modern tech. But I don't know. I haven't heard anything or really seen anything for a while. Which I don't know how to take, because we're in a weird era with the games industry now too, where they're fairly open. I'm just going to sit and have a booth and chat for a minute before we get going. Where they're fairly open with, you know, not keeping things under wraps, or things are getting leaked often enough anyways. And sometimes, even though they leak a bunch of shit, it's false or like extra falsified, or it's leaned a certain way to not reflect what the final product's actually going to be like. And we've had some trouble with that. But it's just especially weird that when we've had it that way, even when like companies are like oversharing, even when it's bad, like the whole Cyberpunk fiasco. Promised us for a long time, and yeah, okay, they were committed pretty hard to finishing the Witcher series, and they had this idea sketched out. They're like, okay, we want to do this. We're kind of kicking around some ideas of how we might want to go about it, and some of the things we might want to do with it, and at least attempt to do. You know, it's a soft date. They never set a hard date that I remember. Like, they'd set a rough one, and then went, okay, like, we're not going to be able to make it. Like, we're still stuck pretty deep in Witcher. And doing a lot of concept stuff on it still, because it's, we started getting more ambitious, like, and okay, that's fine, but then the way they started leaning all the marketing really heavily on the previously unmentioned, like, I think he just, like, he was interested in it. So I think that's what the story is anyways, and it definitely seems like it, is that he was just interested in the project and got attached to it. Keanu as fucking Silverhand. There had been nothing related to that beforehand, and then suddenly all of the marketing and everything about the game focused on that. And that was a huge, huge red flag to me. They were, showing more and more and more, and be like, all the promising all this stuff, but it was mainly just centered around, look, we have Keanu Reeves. And it's like, yeah, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. Keanu's great and everything. But I don't care who it is, when you start focusing that heavily on the celebrity cameo, like, the celebrity cameo could be a big part of it. They could carry the character really well, could be a main character in the game. Like, it could be, I don't know, say some action game where Dwayne Johnson is the character you play as. Okay, well then that celebrity cameo is going to be fairly important. It's kind of carrying the game. And Silverhand was a fairly important character from what I gather anyways, to a lot of things that are going on and kind of drives the story, but there should be other things that are there too, and especially with something like Cyberpunk where it was an RPG and they had a lot of cool mechanics and things like that that they wanted to explore, and they're just like, Keanu Reeves! It's such a blatant red flag that I'm just kind of hilarious that people were still so surprised when Cyberpunk release is a broken fucking mess. The continual delays, again, those can be argued back and forth, because sometimes with some companies you saw it where it was like, look, we had to push it back because we couldn't get this working right, and we want to get it working right first. Or we thought about it and we thought about a better way to do this. We wanted to kind of go back, or the original Borderlands in the first place. Like, it was on the Unreal 3 engine. It was gonna release just as that, which still would have looked cool, but it wouldn't have stood out as much as the fact that they went, hang on, we're going to delay this by like 3 to 4 months, go back in and layer in a cell shaded art style on top of that to bring that kind of idea back from the PS2 era in a better way with more detail, and then Borderlands stood out more. The fact that it started kind of bringing, cell shading back into other games again. Sometimes delays in the past have turned out to be for the better, but especially the last couple years, no. No, generally it's just a bad sign that it's going to be even worse than we already thought, in the era of pretty much everything having fucking massive day one patch because it just released broken. Honestly, kind of running off on the tangent with it for a minute, but I think it's one of the reasons why Valheim did as well as it did, aside from just being fantastic, is it came out in, yes, early access, and yes, with the caveat it was a team of 5 indie developers who made a fairly fucking big and variable game. So it was bound to have some bugginess, but it wasn't like... It's bigger than most fucking AAA games, has a lot more actually going on than a lot of AAA games, was made by 5 fucking people and indie developers, and like has so much more QA on it than the shit we're paying fucking $80 for. And that was a $25 fucking game, and it is more than worth it. I would have paid $80 for Valheim. I really would have. It's that fucking good. It's an annoying state of how the fucking games industry is right now. It's like, you do have some really cool projects that are being greenlit because it's been expanded and been more accepted in that form, but because there's no cause so noble it will not attract fuckheads, you have all the money-grubbing douchebags just going, yeah, push it out now and just more oversaturate the market with garbage. Why? Like, even from the standpoint, if I was looking at it, I'm trying to line my own pockets with money, you're shooting your fucking self in the foot. needs to be so much more properly fucking quality assured and a lot of things now, and bug tested, and feedback on ideas or changes or systems that they're going to put into place. Like, 'cause sometimes some things they put into place, and like literally the entire demographic that they were aiming the game at goes, what? Why? So much fucking weirdness. And like, obviously, I'm not going to agree with or think every decision is going to be, one I necessarily would have made. That's part of the beauty and the wonder of the industry, is that we have varied minds and creative thoughts and processes and developments and directions that we go into, varied genres. But there's some that are just like that don't make any sort of sense in any sort of way. It's just like, why would you don't understand how this works, do you? And I've been muted this whole time. I did it again! I went on a whole impassioned rant about some of the things in the current state of the game industry that annoy me, and how there are certain great things about it being more widely accepted and encouraged as an art form, but then, no cause so noble. Money grubbing douchebags fucking it up, and then ultimately, even if you were to look at it from their perspective, shooting themselves in the foot because they're premature on all of it. And I had fucking muted myself again. God damn it! For fuck's sake. I swear I fucking hit that. I swear I hit that when I came in. Like, I double checked it. Fuck! Which is gonna lead to me being so much more paranoid in all the streams coming up, or you're just gonna see spamming this. And make sure I didn't fucking mute myself and I'm not just babbling on when you're not hearing anything. Fuck. God damn it. Sometimes I don't know why I do things. Because then other things just happen that are not related. Well, I mean, are kind of related, but not at all what was intended or in any way where we were going, but it happened. An intentionally related note, anyway. This is gonna be a funky stream. I'm just getting a weird feeling about it now. Not necessarily bad, but it's gonna be touch and go. Feel like there's gonna be some weird game things that are gonna happen to me too. I just feel like I'm gonna get that. I badly fucking mute cock block myself again today. I feel like I'm gonna find a way to do something really dumb and break the game for myself too. Because my name is Clefty and I break games. Fairly often enough. I mean, fuck. The other day, I swear to God, I broke Quake Champions. It spawned into a match, took a shot at somebody, and fell through the floor. And then hit jump and came back through. ID new clip. That's an old reference. I can't believe I fucking muted myself again. That game seems a little broken in the first place. And how you doing, Pants? I did the fucking thing to myself again too. I went on like a 5-minute speech and welcome and went off on some of the things I have, issues I have with the current AAA gaming sphere and how, Valheim kind of blew a lot of them out of the water for various reasons. QA being one of them. Like it's so much less as a release as an early access game developed by 5 people with a hell of a lot more size and depth and variability than most AAA games, and it runs infinitely fucking better and didn't require a day one massive ass patch. And then I had a feeling, and I touched the thing, and I'd fucking mute cockblock myself again. Which I'm laughing about now because then it's going to make me even more paranoid, so a bunch of next streams is just going to be a lot of seeing this. I want to check to make sure if I'm not just sitting here going. Doing the fucking Jim Carrey trying to get Greta back but forgets his lines and liar liar. Get up! Whoa! Wee! Oh! He was being a little juvenile about it, to be honest. Like, just spam, 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 spam. I throw shit at you now and then, but I also throw buffs, and I give you moments in between. And, like, he was just nonstop spamming shit. I was like, okay, that's a little juvenile. Fuck off. Is he, like, 12? Yeah, it's just, like, it seems excessively dickish. It really does. No, man, like, that comes across like a fucking 12-year-old. It really does. Alright, I'm back on the Ishimura. That's where I landed at the end of last episode. Because that's just going to be all kinds of great. I don't remember what happens here because, like I said, the only other time I've actually played any Dead Space 2, and it was a straight play, it was a, not like straight, but I did it. Oh, fuck, great. I did it in a reasonably quick fashion because I don't think I was playing anything else at the time. It was when it came out.
Gravity and life support on reserve power.
And I haven't fucking touched it since.
Primary systems offline. Main centrifuge
So there's been a
offline
lot of
for
things that have been
repairs.
happening. This is like, I have no memory of this!
What?
The gravity centrifuge is under repair. I'm gonna have to go down to engineering. This should be interesting.
Is it safe?
I don't know how it could be. I'll let you know.
Okay. And there's a difference. I'm willing to bet it's like excessive to the point where it seems like, prepubescent type, as opposed to waxing and being a little bit goofy about it. Like I'll go on and wax goofy names about tits sometimes, and throw playful comments or be flirty. But there's a difference. The way that I'm guessing, the way that it reads to me anyway, that you're putting that across is that it's like really not. Yeah, that's what I was kind of reading about the way that reading out of the way that you put that is like it's not really the kind of playful adult flirtiness that can kind of run along the borderline, but in an okay way. Seems more. The feeling I'm getting off of reading that is it seems a lot more kind of creepy. Not playful and goofy, with a, a bit of edge of dirty, like oh fuck, but just like whoa. Okay, where am I? Okay, I'm gonna get a fucking flashback going through this shit for sure. Yeah, I know it doesn't feel great a lot of times when you do that, but like you gotta call it like it is too. I'm definitely getting a flashback going through these fucking corridors. He's totally gonna get it, cause yeah, I'm on the Ishimura. This is gonna get real bad with the flashback. Acid flashbacks. It's fucking Dead Space. It does that. Hey, Nicole, is there a market for ghost ASMR? Cause, honey, you're nailing it. Give me that health, by the way. I'll take that. Thank you. Ammo is good. Can you not? Yeah, I'm not as, like I said, I do enjoy this one, but I'm not as familiar because, although it was good, it didn't have the same instant classic feel that the first one did. I've replayed the first Dead Space, I don't know how many times. I fucking love it. 2's really good, but it doesn't hit the same way. If I'm being honest, sometimes it feels, Sure. If I'm being honest, like, although it is good, there are times when this one feels like it tries to it's tried to overstuff itself a little bit and like keeps trying to one-up itself a little much. Where like I can see where they were leaning into the kind of mistake that was Dead Space 3. That it might have been okay getting there eventually, but I feel like they rushed the genre swap over a little quickly. I haven't played Dead Space 3 at all yet, but it is on the list to get to eventually. Once I finish this one up, I'll be doing some other features for Sundays in Space, space-related games, until a buddy of mine, the artist formerly known as Kentaro, I'm going to give him a little shout-out now, finishes off his Dead Space 1 and then gets through Dead Space 2, and then we're going to co-op through Dead Space 3 because, as I understand it, that gives a more full experience of the game if you have another player being Carver, because it gives a couple extra levels. Obviously, there's more tactical versatility. There's more fun for an on-stream because you have banter with an actual person. But yeah, I heard that's also it's a more complete experience of the game because having another person there, it goes, okay, well, we're going to give more actual story for this other character we introduced. So we'll get to that eventually. And as much as, there's certain things about it that went more, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm sure he will. He's on a bit of a hiatus right now because he just moved. So he's working on getting his stuff kind of set up and tested and all recalibrated. But he should be up and going, I think, next week? Sometime this week, maybe? Actually, I think it's sometime this week. My brain says next week because it's still technically Sunday, but like... Well, actually, it just rolled over to being Monday now. Okay, so I've got one no. What the fuck do I want to throw it in? Okay, I've actually put quite a bit in that. Is there anything I can hit? It's gonna actually hit something right away. ball sack, really? So they're all gonna have to be fucking in-betweeners. I haven't even used the fucking alt fire on that bitch. Let's move over towards the damage. Oh. Oh. Slept weird. I got a weird crunch in my back. Let me check my inventory. How many... Okay, I'm gonna use that little one. Oh my god, I need fucking ammo! There's a store not too far from here, correct? Now I'm running back to, like, braining through... I know the Ishimura pretty well, because, like I said, I played the first one a bunch. I think there's one fairly close, but again, I'm not certain on how much they may have changed it around, because, you know, it's not the same Ishimura. I was saying earlier, too, before I realized I was fucking muted, I'm tentatively excited, but also kind of worried about the Dead Space remake. I was super happy when they first announced it, but I haven't heard anything for a while, which is kind of weird in the current game climate, where companies are almost oversharing about games, and like that can say something. And the example I went into with that actually went on the long-winded rant and kind of got into the practices was CDPR with the fucking CP2077 fiasco. How the delays, okay, delays I can kind of see sometimes pushing it back, or if your concept kind of changes, or if you can't quite figure out how to get the tech to work to do what you want, so you got to kind of go back a little bit and refigure some stuff out to get it. Like, we've had that happen where things have been delayed and come out better. But the way that one started going, and then how they suddenly out of nowhere, Keanu Reeves, and don't get me wrong, Keanu Reeves is cool, and having him be involved in it was alright, and like, that celebrity cameos or characters can, in a certain way, like if you were making, if this, say for example, the Dead Space franchise cast Dwayne Johnson as Isaac, well then, you know, you would lean fairly heavy on that celebrity cameo in a way of he's carrying the game. His performance and him being in the game is a large part of it. And from what I understand, like, Johnny Silverhand, Keanu's character, is a large part of it, especially where, but it seems like they went and kind of retconned what they had in mind in the first place to add that character in, and then put the story over that direction, and then instead of exploring more about what that changed and how that meant stuff really for what Night City was and how the world was, they just kind of went, hey look, we have Keanu, and that was like, that's a red flag. And then they just kept going, Keanu, Keanu, Keanu! And it's like, Keanu's great, but guys, this is a huge red flag about the game. And then, you know, the majority of people acted super surprised when it came out a broken mess, and it was like, how did you not see that coming? Especially with the other thing, with, Farsoth, here, I'm going to give him a little shout out. Another streamer who typically does late night streaming, and is actually currently playing through, there you go, you fucker. It's actually currently playing through, 27 Cyberpunk. Is that he purposely waited a long time to touch it in the first place, because even coming up to that, he'd kind of, even without looking at that, he'd already known what CDPR's track record was kind of like with all three of the Witcher games upon release, they were kind of broken upon release, and they had to go back and fix stuff with them to make them into the games that they eventually became and were like originally intended to be, and work correctly. So he knew, just based on that was like, okay, 2077 is gonna have issues. I'm gonna wait. I didn't have that much experience with CDPR because I didn't play much of the Witcher games. I played a little bit of 2 on 360. It felt kind of awkward. Like, it definitely feels like it's meant to be played on PC. I heard 3, like, they felt like they actually paid attention to their console market more, and it plays better that way. But I will probably be getting into the Witcher series soon. I have the first one enhanced downloaded, and it looks like that's going to be my next Medieval Monday feature. It is winning the poll currently with 4 votes, and the 2 other options are Fable Anniversary, which I have never played. Played a lot of Fable 2 and a fair amount of Fable 3. I've never played the first one. And then Overlord with the DLC, which I played a little bit of, but it was kind of casually in like chunks spread out over time. So I do actually want to like do a more proper playthrough of that, but there's no votes for Overlord and there's 1 for Fable right now, and 4 votes for The Witcher. So it looks like toss a coin to your Witcher. Oh, Valley of Plenty, oh. I fucked up the melody on that last part. Didn't go high enough. It's too low. Yeah, I was waiting for something to start happening. Get bleached! No, you don't want to be squeaky clean. Yeah, everything's gonna spaz out. Nicole's gonna start talking to me on the screens. I can see it happening. Give. Oh god, give. Thank you. I needed those. Is there not a store here? That's a noise. And there's a glowy. I'll take the credits. Let's see. Wait a minute, there's shiny. Also, Pants, I thought your shit couldn't, in 7 days, shit couldn't attack you when you were at your base. Unless it was the Horde night. Because that's what I seem to remember anyways, is when you were at your base before, like, it held off spawning shit in until you wandered off and left the base, and then it was like, here's all these spawns that people tagged in. Ah, okay. I'm saying, because I remember actually doing it before where I was just, you had been like really busy crafting for a couple hours. So I was like, alright, I'm gonna fuck with them. And then it didn't do it because you're at your base. And like, no fault. I get it. I've had days like that, even on stream sometimes too, where you know, the whole stream pretty much is just running back and forth between a couple bases in Valheim and just moving shit around and getting some shit done and moving a couple things. In those types of games, it's bound to happen. Yeah, I was gonna say that one too, caught to me. It was like, that's a little... You're being a little dickish about being a dick, dude. Like... Just because you sub to a streamer doesn't mean you get to fucking bully them around and tell them what to do. And how to run their stream. And shit. Okay, so yeah, it wants me to go there. I'm gonna check out this side. No? Oh, there's a couple things. Give. Okay, you're all loaded. You go that way. I don't know why it keeps resetting you. That's kind of annoying.
Go on. It's Hedrick. Did you come in last shift? Did anyone? I think it's just me down here now. I got lost last night when the lights
It's
went
scary!
out, and I fell down a ramp. I think. Or someone tripped me. I'm all bruised on my left side and my ankle is swollen. Are you sure you guys aren't down here? I hear something near my locker. Screw this! I'm heading up. I'm never coming back here again.
I mean, honestly, smart move. You probably didn't make it. But yeah, honestly, I don't know what would be a worse kind of derelict ghost ship to work on. This one or the dead Reaper in Mass Effect 2? They're both pretty shitty. Neither would be a great time. I think this one's a lot more like body horror-y. Although, I mean, when you get turned into a husk, that's not pretty. But there's a lot more body horror involved in Dead Space. But it's, you know, weird noise up there. I'm, like, honestly super surprised he hasn't been hit with a I'm crazy vision yet. I've expected about 3 of them by this point. Being this far into the Ishimura again. I will take ammo. Ammo is good. I'm honestly waiting for it. This is a very sus hallway. Good old Dead Space atmospheric noises. Whoa, there it is! Hi, buddy! Hop! Ah, he should not have hit me. No, I want this one. Ah, he's not moving. I don't like this hall, dude. Come on, finally, Jesus. I had nowhere to fucking move on him. I knew it. I knew this hallway was sus as fuck. Get bleached. Give me that. Lights! Yeah, I'll take that, thank you. Some health would be nice. Suck shit! And an achievement. God damn it! Fuck! Ow! Yeah, not now. Busy. Snotlings! You're kidding. You're kidding. That has no weight to it. I need something heavier. Damn it! Damn it! Come on, die! I have no fucking ammo! Fuck you! Kicked your ass with a fucking box, bitch! I have a lamp! Anybody else? Bueller? Bueller? Fuck. Hello? Say hello. Do the chargy thing. Ooh, that's a power node. I'm gonna take that. Oh, thank you for the host. Hey, so I'm gonna need to power this bitch up. Not fair. I've had it happen, like, sometimes too, just as I raid somebody, they go offline, it's like, fuck! Or when I check it at, like, the thing didn't update
I'm on my way to the centrifuge.
for me,
Just
so
be
I
careful.
raid and they've been offline for a minute, it's like, fuck. Ah, I feel stupid. Literally one clip for that. Okay, I don't want you to come with me, Bleach Jug. Fuck off.
Warning. The engineering deck has not completed final cleanup and decontamination.
And there's a store, cool. Can sell some shit and get some fucking ammo. There's some there, which I will take, of course. I have to run upstairs and have a pee real quick in a second. Okay, so let's sell. Seeker shells I don't use. What the hell? Buy another node. And I'll save it, and I will then be right back. Hello? Hello? Fucking weirdo. You know it. BRB. Let me turn that back on. Thank you. Sorry for that awkward little dance. Still trying to get that weird knot out. It's in like a really, it's like right at the bottom of the rib cage going down, so it's in a weird spot to try to get to fucking move. Alrighty, let's pop this back over. Beep. And you go back off. See, told you, it's gonna happen. There's gonna be a lot of paranoid microphone off, microphone on flashes. Okay, so you want me to go over here. Okay, let me quickly check the other areas for loot. And actually, I am going to pause and pack another little booth real quick. Got a new pipe, and it works really well, but it's got an itty bitty little bowl. I guess helps conserve somewhat, but it does go very fast. It's in the lower back, but it's like it's rotating up onto the ribs too, hence why I'm trying to rotate to get it to like It's the problem of being a giant and somewhat more strong stature is without intending it sometimes. And like the kind of I'm not huge or enormous or anything, so I can only imagine what it's like for some of the ginormous dudes. That your just everyday movements can occasionally your muscles can pull shit out of place without intending to. I mean, I'm sure it happens to most people a lot too, but it happens with us too. More to large people just because they're used to being large, and then sometimes it moves and like, whatever. And then later it's like, hey, I moved funny. Oh, fuck you. But I was doing the things I do as a large person. You should be used to it by now, damn it. Oh, I got a nice crunch on the other shoulder too, which sometimes happens. Sometimes the shoulders, body's a fucking funny thing in the way that your muscles work together too. Sometimes when your other like I've had my other shoulder be slightly out and it causes a fuck up down here too. Or like this has got a knot in it and it's just changed the way my back's sitting, so it pisses off the lower back and the other side. Biology is such a fascinating, funny, fickle thing. It really is. The chaotic little variances in the ways that things can happen. I got some. I can only move it so far sideways because there's a wall here. And I just hit my lamp. Ah. I have to do it the other way because I got to crunch that side. Oh. Well, there's that shoulder, but that one usually does that. Oh, there's something. Got something to move. I have to sleep with a little bit of like an extra spin to stretch that out later. at least for a little bit. Okay, do we want to place bets on how long till Isaac has a crazy vision? Because, again, like I said, my memory's a little bit foggy, but I definitely would have thought he would have had one. Yoga with Cleft. Definitely would have thought he would have had one before this point, even. Like, I've gone where I am in the Ishimura now. Granted, in the first game, I mean, you had to do the fucking bouncing around before you got to this point, but this is like the third chapter here. So this is like a fair enough point into the Ishimura that I definitely would have thought he would have heard a little bit more than just Nicole ASMR whispering at him. Definitely would have thought she would have been like fucking like popped up and done her little I am a ghostly Q with the fucking light out her eyes and mouth and walking towards and taunting him and shit already. And then he yells and grabs his head and says, "Get the fuck out of my head, you're not Nicole!" I'm definitely surprised it hasn't happened yet. And I don't remember how long this one is. I feel like it's not overly much longer. I'm at chapter 10, 11-ish. Which, I think the first one was 12? Yeah, 12. Yes, no secret, long thing. Unless, you've never touched Dead Space. There's a secret message hidden in the chapter names. It's something. It's not super secret. I mean, if you have half a brain, you kind of figure it out anyways, and it drops it to you at the end of the game anyhow. But it's just kind of cool that there's this little like secret message coded in the way that they built it. It's the layers of kind of care and love and stuff like that is one of the reasons why I just adored the first Dead Space immediately. Plus, it was a breath of fresh air at that time, and like it was just so good. It was, it proved that Resident Evil going all Jason X wouldn't suck if done right. Now, the one that shouldn't have gone Jason X, I never played the game, but I never wanted to because the concept seemed absolutely fucking redonkulous to me. Was the third Dino Crisis game when they went like Jason X and it was dinosaurs in space and you had weird like jumpy exosuits, and from everything I've seen, the camera in that game was awful. Also, on that note, bringing that back to somewhat of that one had changed something to more like actiony, like Dead Space did later on. I thought I'd heard small rumors of it, and I was so hoping when they did the Resident Evil 2 remake back in like I think it was 2019 or 2020 that they released it. One of the two, or was it all the way back in 2018? I don't think it was all the way back in 2018. Was it? Either way, when they released that, I was so hoping, and I swear I heard rumors that they were gonna do a fucking Dino Crisis remake in that same engine. And I miss the original Dino Crisis. I never finished it, but fuck, I loved that game. And I would love a remake. Okay, is this thing on? Fuck. I never played the second one. I heard it was pretty good too, but not as good and got really kind of weird. And again, had started to kind of go a little bit more like actiony. I guess almost in a way emulated how Dead Space went, where the first one was survival horror, second one was survival horror with a little more on the action, bigger set pieces and explosions and shit, and then the third one went just action. Because nothing I'd seen about the third Dino Crisis read survival horror to me. There's a little bit of the element, and the dinosaurs are weird looking and fucked up, and it's a dinosaur coming to eat you, but didn't have the same oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck feeling like the original one did. I'm gonna. In the meantime, you know what? I should probably look for a fucking PlayStation emulator just to play it, because I miss playing that game. I really do. I want to beat it. I would actually get around because I'm a much better gamer now, and I'm a much more intelligent person than I was back when I originally played it. Because fuck, how old was I? Like 15 or 16 or something like that, I think. I've been slowly working my way through some of them. Some of the stuff like as throwing it up on stream and doing playthroughs. Some of them is games that I've loved and I've played through before, but I want to do I wanted to have an archived one and have a shared experience with people, and then there's other shit where it's a game I've never touched. I've seen people play it, or even some other ones where it's like a completely blind experience. I liked the idea that the one thing Markiplier did, still does, where he does the three scary games where he picks like three random scary or like horror type style games off of Steam and checks them out. I thought that was kind of cool, and I like the idea of that, especially now that having access to Steam. So I started kind of just playing around with doing just I widened it in the scope of whatever genre, but just any cool little like indie Steam games that I thought, hey, that's interesting, and it doesn't have enough to me to hold out doing a couple, because I've had a few that indie ones that have their own playthrough, like Armored Head that I just finished. Not huge, but it had enough to me and interest to be able to come back and keep doing more until I finished the game off. There's some other ones that are interesting and kind of cool, but might not be finished or might be a little bit broken or just have a cool premise and need things to come back to them or need some more work. But I want to kind of give some love and exposure to them because, it was somebody's pet project, somebody's art that I felt was worth the time. And sometimes they may not be. Sometimes they might be like end up being huge bombs. There was one that like it didn't go very far, but it was kind of a hilariously fun experience. If you want something very bizarre pants, look up a game called Astralis. I just said it weird because it's very clearly got like a Russian Slavic kind of experience on it. Yeah, I typed it there. I don't know exactly what the fuck I was doing. I was in space ish somewhat, but it was kind of a hilariously entertaining time. Very confusing, but I didn't feel bad. I didn't hate it. I didn't really get anything done, and I couldn't figure out what the hell I was supposed to really be doing. But it was entertaining. Also, I think it allows you to rebind the controls, if I remember. You're going to want to. I figured out like a couple of months after actually doing the feature on it. It uses a lefty keyboard scheme. It assumes you mouse with your left hand because it's like Z, S, D, and X or something like that for your movements. So when I first came across it, I was like, what kind of fucking communist control scheme is that? But then I realized afterwards, it was like, after I was playing Quake one day, and then I was just thinking about lefty people, went, oh, it's a lefty. It's a lefty control scheme. So they can still hit, their numbers and shit like that. And your tab. It was definitely weird. It was weird that it defaulted to that. But I guess, that's probably the programmers, the guy who made it. He's a lefty. It's just, it's kind of also weird that you would think that this is a game you're putting out to people. The majority of people end up, even if they're left-handed for other things, still end up kind of mousing right-handed and using their left to type or use. So it's kind of an odd choice that it was that way. The game is like that is the game in a nutshell. But it was like fucking $3 too. Your arm reattached. I don't think I've heard this story. Accident? I'm just, motorcycle accident or a car accident or something? Oof. Jesus. Okay, well, let's
Dr.
listen to
Heidi
that.
Latchford, Research Summary Organic Material Analysis. There are several shocking findings
Shit, dude.
relating to the sludge-like material found throughout the Ishimura. First,
Eesh.
it is human DNA. Second, and far more disturbing, it reanimates in the presence of a marker signal. The only conclusion we can come to is that the entire Ishimura crew was infected and reconstructed and then fell into a soupy DNA sludge when the Aegis 7 marker was destroyed.
Dude, that's... The worst I ever did this dumb thing when I was a kid, and you can't even fucking see it anymore because the scar's fading and it's under a tattoo. But there's a scar right under here, kind of in the shape of a saxophone. May not show up at all. I was 7, and I took my little rinky-dink bike up on a hill, and there was the soft side of the hill that just, it went grass down, and then there was kind of like a rutted path down the other side that went steep and shot into the woods. And it looked really fun and cool, and all the kids that were about 16 or so were doing that one, and I was like, hey, I want to do that! Didn't even notice. Oof. Yeah, well, I mean, fuck, if it's just that much holding it on, kind of need the metal plate. Holy fuck, dude. And yeah, well, understandably, yeah, you wouldn't have the... Does that fuck with your mousing? I was gonna say if it would the other way around, to even just to do that, like, man, that's got to make your mousing sometimes and playing Quake a bit frustrating. Or fucking, although you snap too pretty quick, so I hope you're not like making your nerves tweak when we drop a bunch of shit on you in 7 days. You're not slow on your responses, but yeah, I hope that doesn't, it's not uncomfortable to try to be like, ah, fuck, I have all these things to deal with now. My base. Ah. Wrist just had never ended up settling back in properly. Wrists are funky like that, though. Like, wrists are ones that generally people get fucked up once and it doesn't ever work quite the same. Well, I mean, yeah, as nasty as that sounds like it was, it probably fucked up all those tendons and nerve endings to be able to respond to shit, too. They can't fing like they used to. They call them fingers, but I've never seen them fing. Oh, there they go. Okay, so let's go up. not meant to do the same job. Punch kick! That'd be weird if there was like a phantom limb syndrome when you went to throw a punch like your leg twitched. Accidentally trip yourself throwing a punch too hard because your leg just freaks out. Ah, fuck! Ah, pants myself. But I'm. I remember that room. Oh, you want me to go in there again? Ooh, look, a bench. I wonder, are you gonna do the same thing to me again, or is that where I'm gonna have the crazy vision? That feels like crazy vision territory. Okay, so I've got 2 nodes. What did I put it in? What did I put it in? I did slap it in that, okay. Damage. And, let's just put some in the basic one. Up you a little bit. Get quick stock of inventory. Top up with the little one. Make sure I'm all loaded. Clickety clack. Now my ammo's back. Taking a little boof, and yeah, I know something's gonna happen in that room. I'm not gonna lead you on a fucking greatest hits tour, you know, some of the memorable places of the Ishimura without dropping something. Even with it, like even without any hand issues or something like that, that's still something that's always going to be a factor when choosing your mouse is how it fits in your hand. Because if it feels awkward, like my wife, for example, she has the Razer. I guess, honey, what's your mouse called? Naga. I couldn't remember if it was Naga or Hydra. My brain was fucking derping out. It's a pretty mouse, and like I've played around with it. It's nice and responsive. It feels nice in terms of the weight. It doesn't like derp around, but the shape of it doesn't feel nice in my hands. It feels like it's got kind of a narrow back end because I have a bit of a meatier palm. Kind of feels like it forces me to kind of sort of do the take my strong hand. Not overly comfortable. I like ones like this, but that have a little bit of a chunkier back end and a raised edge that sits nicely in the meat of my palm, and then I can actually click comfortably and use my thumb buttons and shit. That little side wing too helps because then my big thumb isn't like sliding off it all the time. This one, this is the Basilisk X Hyperspeed. It's a little slim for my hand, but I've gotten used to it. I did have the Corsair Iron Claw, and I liked it, but I had a lot of problems with it. Had no problems with the Razor. So when we have some more money, there's a upgraded version of the Basilisk that's a little bit bigger, more like the Iron Claw was, and has a couple extra buttons on it, I think, too. So we're gonna get that and have this as my backup again. Love this mouse. It's been great. I got used to it. Like it's still comfortable in my hand. It just when I had the both of them, it did feel a little small, and the Iron Claw was like a perfect size. That was a weird kind of funky hiccup burp. Hiccup burp. Okay. Is it crazy vision time?
Decontamination initializing. Decontamination complete.
But excuse you. Take all this extra ammo, thank you. Okay, so I'm at 100. I hear you daily bastards off somewhere. Whoop. God, fuck you. Nope. No clever girls, thank you. No. Baby! Okay, so you want me to go that way, I'm gonna go over here. I thought I heard a squishing noise. You snotling piece of shit. I call it a snotling because it literally looks like an ambulatory fucking hunk of snot. Give. Bonk. Die, bitch. Shit, didn't get where I wanted it. Could you? I don't want your hand. Fuck you, baby. Ah, come on! Woo! Shit! Get off me, you fucking piece of shit! Ah, come on! Get out of here! Dude. Dude. Can I have like 2 seconds? Fuck. Alright, give me the next fucking save. Ah, shit! Scared the piss out of me, motherfucker. Are we done? Alright, get me to the next save point. I gotta try to keep the noise down now. And this game is not conducive for that. There it is! Whee! Yes. Alright. Yeah, I have nothing for that. Actually, I'll reload everything and then resave it. You're all reloaded, and I'm definitely going to pull that out. That's going to be a better idea to use, because it's throwing a lot of shit at me. But again, I'm on the fucking Ishimura, I expected it. So, we might be getting close to the end here. It's chapter 10, I don't think this one's too much longer. Maybe 13 chapters, maybe 14. I'm gonna quit to the main menu. And we will be back next Sunday, Pants. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for coming by. Let me see if we got anybody to raid to. But as always, everyone, I hope the content's been stimulating and satisfying to your ears. It's the point of why we come here while we play these games. Oh. Let me see. We got Brent doing some Super Mario RPG, so let's raid him. Make the raid call. And... boosh. So, that being said, we'll see you next Sunday for more Dead Space 2, guys. Next couple days, probably gonna have some Retro Machine tomorrow, because I kind of wanted to do it earlier today, but then got into supporting people through charity streams and shit like that. And I'm not sure about Tuesday or Wednesday. Oh, Wednesday, actually, I'm going to be doing a charity stream of my own with Diablo 3. Thursday is going to be the final battle with Grunty, finishing off Banjo-Kazooie for Throwback Thursdays, and FPS Friday will be some more Doom 64 and maybe starting one of the new features. We'll see. Let's raid over to Brent now. We'll see you later.